Hello friends. In this video, I am going to tell you something which you will rarely get, okay, and especially when you join an AI company, okay, in a core AI ML role. Okay, since we prepare for the interviews, okay, we learn all AI ML skills and all those things, right? But when you join any company, okay, then you are expected to know a few things. That is by default only. You are expected to know a few things or few skills which are very important for the AI work in any company, right? And we are going to talk about those skills in this video. That what exactly are those skills, right? These skills are you won't basically learn. Okay, they are totally ignored. Okay, and sometimes they are not asked in interviews also, right? But when you join the company on the first day only, you are expected to know these things. Okay, I'm not saying that you should have a solid understanding of these things. Okay, you should just have a basic idea. Okay, and once you join the company, okay, then you can start learning these things quickly, and 2 or 3 weeks you will basically get fluent with it. Okay, in this video we are going to talk about these things. So let us start with that. So when we prepare for AI ML jobs, most of us focus only on, and of course, that machine learning, deep learning, transformers, okay, even for coding interviews, right, like projects you build, right? But after joining any company, okay, any AI startup or any big AI MNC also, okay, as an core AI, in the core AI ML role, okay, then you will realize one thing which is very important, that industry AI work is not just about models. There are many engineering and system level skills around AI that most learners completely ignore, and they don't even know that they should learn these skills. I'm not saying that freshers need to master all these deeply, but having some awareness of these things can reduce a lot of confusion and make your transition into industry much smoother, especially if you are from a non-CSE background like me, because CSE people must have learned these things in their college courses, but non-CSE might not even have heard about these things. Okay, so I am strictly telling you about it. Okay, so watch the video till the end in this case. Because when you enter a real AI company, you are suddenly working with, on the first day of joining only, you are suddenly working with servers, containers, APIs, GPUs, ports, Linux terminals, shared infrastructure, because many basically the teams are working on a shared GPU server and all those things, right? So they work on a shared infrastructure. You are deploying models suddenly, okay, the logs and the complete production systems. And nobody poses the company work to just teach all these things to you from scratch. So let us talk about those skills. The first is Git and collaboration. Now I have talked about this skill in my previous videos also. Most students use GitHub only to upload the projects, okay? But in companies, Git is a collaboration tool. There's a difference between Git and GitHub. Multiple engineers are working on the same code base simultaneously in any company, and you need to understand in the Git, you need to understand the branches, pull requests, merge conflicts, rebasing, commits, and reverting changes, suppose, okay? Otherwise what happens that even a small mistake can affect the team workflow. Okay, for example, if I give you something that suppose you are pulling the wrong branch, okay, you are pushing the incorrect changes or overwriting someone else's code. Okay, so these things sound small, but inside the companies they can waste hours of engineering time and a big embarrassment for you. So you need to be careful about this skill. Second is Linux and terminal usage. In many AI companies, you are not working on your personal laptop like you do, right? Or using the Jupyter notebook. No, you are connected to the remote GPU servers through SSH. Now, most things happen through the terminal only. Okay, you may need to suppose run training jobs. Okay, you suppose if you are training any model, so you need to do it on the server. You need to monitor GPUs. You need to suppose kill stuck processes, navigate the directories, okay, or check the logs and all those things. Suppose you need to move the files between servers. So if someone only knows Jupyter notebook and VS Code buttons, this environment can initially feel very overwhelming. Even simple Linux commands become important because your entirely workflow may depend on them only. So again, this is very important thing. Third one I will talk about, which you should know for interviews also nowadays, that is Dockers and containers. This is one thing many learners sometimes completely ignore, okay, even in their resume projects. But in companies, different models and services often run inside the Docker containers only. Okay, because you know that to have a clean code and basically to maintain the different dependencies, different versions, or different Python environments, you need to put your model in a Docker image and then run it. So the containers isolate everything very cleanly, right? Now imagine this situation. Your teammate has an important inference service running in a container, okay, on a server. And by mistake, you stop or remove that container because you are not good with the commands, suppose. So these things actually happen, right? So now that container is stopped, his work is stopped. So even basic awareness of what containers are, how to start or stop them, what Docker images are, and why even Docker exists, this becomes extremely useful. Now, fourth skill is something which you might not have even heard about. That is networking basics, which includes ports, servers, and requests. Now, this is another eye-opening thing for me. That in tutorials we simply call APIs, right? But inside companies, you start seeing things like ports, inference servers, reverse proxies, and HTTP request flow, model endpoints, and sometimes even load balancing. Now, suppose for example, a model may be running on a GPU server, okay, through VLLM server on a specific port. Now, and your backend service sends requests to that server, and another front-end service is also running which calls your backend. So now in this thing, now suddenly understanding request flow matters here. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to debug the things when the any error occurs, right? So you should be able to answer some simple questions, okay, you get, okay, in company, like which server is running, okay, which port is exposed, suppose, why is the API unreachable, okay, or is the container down, okay, so, and is the request timing out, anything like that, right? So these are the practical engineering realities of AI systems which you should know about, or should have at least the basic idea. Okay, now next is fifth one is environment and dependency management. I talked about this skill also, okay, in my previous videos. So this is another underrated thing. Different projects may require different torch versions, right? Different versions of torch, CUDA, okay, Python transformer versions are different, right? So sometimes one wrong installation can break the whole setup, and you may spend hours debugging environment issues instead of writing the machine learning code. So this is why the concepts like the virtual environment, right, having a requirements.txt file, okay, and basically learning all pip dependencies, everything, right? So these things become important in real company projects, right? Now the last but not the least, that is sixth skill, that is logs, monitoring, and debugging. Now in college projects, if something crashes, suppose, and then we simply rerun the notebook, right? That's what we do. But in companies, systems are continuously running on servers, right, 24/7. So debugging becomes a major skill there. Okay, so now then in that case, you need to learn how to read logs at least. Okay, you need to be able to trace the error. Okay, understand the stack basically traces. Okay, identify the bottlenecks, because unless you identify the problem, how will you solve it? Right? You sometimes the GPU memory is running out. You need to identify that issue. So many times the problem is not the AI model itself, but the surrounding engineering system, and you need to be aware of that thing. So the final message in this video from my side is that you don't need to learn all these things perfectly, okay? But having some basic ideas and having a willingness or having an awareness that okay, you need to learn once you join the company, that is very important. Okay, having awareness of these surrounding engineering concepts can make your transition into industry much smoother. Okay, and especially for non-CSE students, I am telling you. Okay, so because modern AI engineering is not only about training models, it is about making these systems work, okay, reliably in real world environments. Okay, so now this is what I wanted to tell you. Okay, if you want such AI/ML career advices or industrial level of learning, okay, or any concept clarity, then follow and subscribe Concepts of AI. Okay, let us meet in the next video.